We're here.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Sincere apologies, ma'am. So I'll tell you what your
Jesus is love.
what is the name of your foundation?
CWM Nation.
CWM Nation.
Yeah. The ministry brought up after too. The ministry.
Oh, the ministry that you started with what is it?
No.
With no blue.
Sister parent. The ministry that we started is the Blessed and the Beautiful. But I run a ministry, a separate ministry called CWM Nation.
And basically that is who and what you are. A teacher, author, speaker, and that. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Let's use 23 minutes that we have.
Yeah, let's use them for impact.
The love of God, which engulfs and circles us, my family, all the way to your coffee on Heart. A very warm welcome and good afternoon to you. We're going straight to the program this afternoon, and we kickstart our time together with the one and only Apostle Kilo Kandi Domingo, who is the founder of CWM Nation this afternoon, also author, speaker, and lecturer. And she's here, my family, to help you, youth and Daya. Me, youth and Daya, where are you? She's here to help us to navigate how to manage our spousal relationship. On the other side of 1 o'clock, I'm super excited because we're traveling, my family, and we're going all the way this afternoon to learn more about your traveling needs. Black Trotters Africa will be chatting to us about all things travel. And so we're looking forward to that between 1 and 2 this afternoon. In the meantime, and in between all of the great sounds of music coming through, some of those playing in the background with Jesus is Love. Ayanda is the name, 3 o'clock, all the way to 3 o'clock. And of course, right now, we're turning the page, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. If you would like to be part of it, of course, 0826572729. Our apostle Mara.
No, you've told people that I'm a celebrity, and I'm not. I'm simply God's steward.
No, but it's not just, you see, with you, I think it's not just stewardship, it's how you carry the brand. And I know brand is a loose term, right? But it's how you're carrying the flag right now, and how you are respecting the message, and how you are nurturing the message. You know what I mean? Welcome to Radio Pulpit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So Apostle had the opportunity to see us running up and down with wires. My family, but today the conversation is about spousal relationships. Now, before we even get into that conversation, Apostle, let's get to know you. So she also had everybody walking up and down. I'm like, this is about the team. I'm like, she's a celebrity.
Oh, guys.
What about you?
All right, so I think in the context of what we are discussing today, I'd like to start with that I'm a wife and I am a mother. I am a very blended family. And when I say very blended, I mean, I come with 2 kids from 2 different fathers, and my husband comes with 3 kids from 2 different mothers. So I am thoroughly blended, right? And this is just one of God's artworks that I've seen in my life, that He has managed to ensure that our blended families works like a well-oiled machine. Yes, and that's why I was so excited when you said to me, we are discussing managing past and present relationships, because that is truly what God has done for me and my blended family.
So just also for context, Apostle, what we also did is that I went and I listened to most of the platforms, or at least let me talk about the one that for sure I can quote. And with that platform, you were having this conversation together with, uh, your partner, your ministry partner, with whom you've gone and done amazing things. Talk to us about that journey a little bit before we get into the conversation that you want to have around spousal management this afternoon.
Yeah, so with my first child, my daughter is not, who's now 15 years old. So when I was pregnant, found out that she and I are actually sharing a guy, right? And neither of us were married to him at the time. She went on and married him, and I went on with a broken heart, right? And the Lord healed me of, or not just healed me, healed the entire situation, because that's what the justice of God does. It doesn't just look at one person and heal that one at the expense of other people. God looks at the overall condition of what brought these people together, and with each step that God allowed us to take in healing the acrimony between us, right? Then our blended family became what it is today, what it looks like today, which is an inspiration to many other blended families. But we attest the success of our blended family to really what Christ did for us and how He ordered our steps. Yeah. So and also, I don't just have one child. I have uh two children, like I mentioned, right? And just to nurture that entire situation in such a way that I am healed. My children get access to their father. The fathers of my children are respected, and my husband is respected. It takes the workings of the Holy Spirit and the workings of the finished works of Christ, and that's what happened for us. Yeah.
And so the story as we see it now, let me call you Apostle Sandy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the story as we see it now is where exactly? Because we know that it comes, from what would typically create a lifelong, even generational division.
Absolutely.
And yet yourself and the beautiful Sister Nopunda found a way. I mean, I was listening to your story. I'm like, this level of maturity is, no, no, it's 1960. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the kind that we saw with our grandmothers.
I don't even think we saw it necessarily with our grandmothers, because a lot of things were swept under the carpet with our grandmothers. So it was like, okay, we know there's a child there, but we don't discuss that child here. We pretend as if that child does not exist in this home. And that's what Noklunga and I did not want, right? Ultimately, we started our journey in matrimony, and over a period of time, God healed us. God caused us to pray for our situation and to pray for each other, right? So the journey, if you're asking where are we now, we are at a place where people marvel at what is happening in our blended family. It looks like it is something concocted out of this world, even. And it truly is, because it's coming from knowing and following the path of Christ to heal. To know that how we started our lives is not how we should end our lives. And our children do not have to bear the consequences or the vile consequences of our past actions. So we really sacrificed a lot. And when I say sacrifice a lot, I'm not just speaking about Lunga and I. I'm speaking about my husband, right? His ability to walk into the situation and manage it with me the way that he has.
Sure.
I'm speaking about Lunga's husband, and how he eventually, submitted himself to a path with Christ himself to become the honorable father and husband that he is today. So that's where the story is today. It is at a place where God has truly done a wonder. When the Bible speaks about when we looked again, we were almost shocked or wondered at what the Lord has done. And so that's really where we are. And it does not mean that there are no certain things to work through, because if you co-parenting with different people like we are, right? So there's other dynamics that are involved in blending family, but because we are adamant in putting God at the center of our blended family, that's why it looks like it's working like a well-oiled machine. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Well, my family who just joined us, Apostle Tandy Domingo is right here in studio with us. She's the founder of CWM Nation Ministries. Please do find a page on cwmnation.com. And today our conversation focuses on, our responsibility towards maintaining the spousal relationship. Now, here's the thick of this conversation, Bustilo. Here's the thing of this conversation. So we've seen many times, especially in blended families, where the relationship between the former spouse, okay, and the relationship between the common denominator, right, and the former spouse is not always the best, and it affects the children. It then also mostly affects the incoming spouse. We are going both sides of the coin. How what is the responsibility of the middleman, who is the common denominator, whether it's the wife or the husband?
I'm so glad you're asking that question, because you speak about a common denominator. I was a common denominator in my blended family, right? So I remember being a single mom, or what is called a single mom. And I remember just looking at myself and thinking, yes, the problem is you. you these people don't know each other from above, so right. No, but not even that, the relationships are ending in a similar way, right? And I had to confront myself and realize, no, I am the common denominator. I am the one who's ending relationships acrimoniously. It's not these guys. Yes, they have their own issues, but the common thread here is me. And I remember looking at myself and thinking that, but I also remember thinking at the very same time that if I could create a mess, can I not create differently for my life going forward? Because as much as I was a common denominator, I was a common denominator in being a creator of my lived experiences, right? And so it didn't mean that I can only create a mess. Surely I could also create peace, right? I could also create harmony. I could also create a workable relationship. And then I started walking this journey with the wisdom of God to heal, first of all, my own wounds, which were not just wounds from relationships, right? They were wounds from childhood, they were wounds from previous relationships, wounds from even friendships, right? So I had to walk this journey with God and allow Him to heal me. And as He was healing me and then preparing me for marriage, one of the things that I realized was that I was adamant about was I don't want to bring anyone into my life and then I become a problem for them in this particular situation. So I was adamant that I need to put up certain boundaries, right? As a common denominator, you need to put certain boundaries in place. And you must put them in place before you get married, right? It's almost like we don't want to put boundaries in place, but we want the incoming spouse, to come and deal with the issues. And then when you've not dealt with, right? You didn't put boundaries, and now this guy or this woman comes in and they feel insecure about the boundaries that you have not put in place. And what do? We say, no, you insecure. Deal with the fact that I have children. Deal with the fact that I will communicate with this woman or this man. And the point is not that the person does not think that you are going to communicate with this person. It's the boundaries that you have not put in place to ensure, first of all, that he or she understands where they fit into this blended family, and secondly, how the incoming spouse now needs to be handled. And so I was very adamant by the wisdom of God to put all of those things in place. So when my husband walked into my life, really there was no issue. There was no issue. He found me having a workable relationship with both the fathers of my children. Now he also has a relationship with both the fathers of my children. Why? Because I facilitated that before he came into my life.
Sure, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Family.
Mm.
So what we are dealing with here is that common problem where you are, one or a couple, for whatever reason, and we are not encouraging the breaking up of couples and families. But when it has happened, what we are then asking ourselves, how can the one who is now moving on with their lives and getting married, whether it is the woman or the man, how does that one person ensure that the spouse, knows their place, relationships are in place, and that the past spouse does, or that relationship does not affect what is then remaining in her own deeper cycle. We've seen it many times. And I want to bring a scenario, possibly, and then we're going to deal with the responsibilities of the outgone and the incoming. I want to dwell with the common denominator, because so there was a conversation happening in some online platform where this lady was saying that I have a child with the father of my child, and I'm now married. And so the father of my child is on and off. There was a time when he was absent, and then all of a sudden my marriage went really well. And this, my husband now, is a real father to my daughter. And so the father has then come back to the seat. And so my response, right, if was asking me, my response was, oh, and so the father of the child has now come back to the scene, and the husband feels uncomfortable. The reason the husband is feeling uncomfortable is because the father of the child now demands to see the child anytime. And the husband is saying, no, 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 hang on, this is my house. Okay? And I set the rules. I am the one that determines how I am going to raise everybody that's under this roof. Okay? So if anybody from the outside wants to request, create an interaction, they must please let there be a conversation between us, right? So my response to her was, never ask this question again until you put in the middle and answer the uncomfortable questions. You know what I mean? Because what happens is that the common denominator wants us to feel pity for them when they are the ones that are not being truthful. Okay? So where does the baby daddy, let's call it like that for the purpose of conversation, where do they get the courage to walk into your marriage without your permission?
Look, I don't think it's walking into your marriage without your permission per se. They have a right to their child. It is their child, right? The fact that they are absconded is something that we need to deal with as well. However, it does not take away from the fact that this is the father of the child. And this is a common thing I see in blended families. We allow the ego to take over the fact that this child needs to be parented, right? And it's almost like we bring our selfishness to the core, that it is about me, it's about my house, uh it's about you liking your former person or not, or whatever, right? And my thing is, yes, it's your child, but understand that the other person or the mother of the child is now married, and there should be boundaries around that situation, even, right? That the person is married, the boundaries should be put around by the common denominator, right? And the common denominator has a responsibility to communicate the boundaries, right? But also, I wouldn't say a father must say, I make the rules. I mean, for the mere fact that you are in a marriage which has other people in it as well, right? As fathers, right? And as a mother.
The mere sorry, so important that the husband mustn't say I make the rules.
No, I don't subscribe to I make the rules.
Okay.
I subscribe to we are building this family.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
And what are the boundaries that
we all
are agreeing to? right? Don't mess with obviously my ecosystem of my family, but let there be boundaries. You can't just walk in and out just because your child lives here.
Mm. So here's where that particular line came out. It came out because the husband had to continue to insist because it the father of the child was not stopping. And the husband is not in communication with the father of the child. The wife is.
No, then the wife is a problem in this situation. In this situation, the wife is the problem because she has a responsibility to communicate the boundaries of her home.
And you see, the wife, for me, the reason I'm even sharing this scenario is because the wife is one of many, right? And then when the wife tells the story, or when I from outside looks at the story, I am going to vilify the husband.
Of course.
I am going to make the husband look like he is the one that is blocking everybody. And the wife, they remain behind the shadows as if they are innocent. They are not.
And it goes back to preparation for marriage, right? But I mean, we think that the issue of us having children out of wedlock will not follow us into our marriage, right? If you have had children for whatever reason, whether now you are divorced or you were just promiscuous and you had children like me, you have to then look at your future and the future that you want to create and have foresight of the fact that there's another person that's going to come into this matter. Do you want them to come into a messy space or do you want to actually clean up house? Because I promise you, those issues would not have been an issue in their marriage had she dealt with them way before this husband came into the picture.
So, for the sake, Mamposile, of clarity, here's Pastor Faith. Pastor Faith, we acknowledge you. And thank you so much for coming through. We'll listen to that voice note quickly before we cross over to the news section on the other side of that because we knew that this is going to require a bit of time. So here's for me a big thing that perhaps as common denominators, whether it's the husband in relation to his wife and in-laws, right? Or the husband in relation to the former, or and I am now the wife in relation to the father of my child outside of marriage, whatever the case is, the common denominator in connecting the blended family has got to be truthful.
Yes.
And get what the problem is we want to be happy and be pretty on both sides without facilitating what that would look like. You know what I mean?
We don't want to facilitate it, but we want the result thereof. And it doesn't work that way, Taluk.
I love it. I love it. It doesn't work that way. My family, if you've just joined us, we've just got 2 minutes before we have to cross over to the news, so we'll take a quick break. And we've still got Apostle right here with us this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to hearing your views, ma'am, on how then what is the responsibility of the former spouse as well as the spouse that's now coming into the fold. Really looking forward to that. But before that, your voice notes and messages are coming through my family on 082 657 2729.
Real with the real life issues that you've gone through and the real life testimonies, victories, pains that you have gone through so that you can be able to assist and help everyone that is going through the same. It's so important for us as children of God to be real. About the issue of faith because it is the things that we keep in secret, it's the things that we sweep under the carpet, it's the elephants in the room that we are so scared to address that end up in our families and actually destroying them. So thank you so much, women of God, for your testimony, for sharing your wisdom and your insight. And thank you so much, Radio Pulpit, for just making getting this out in the open so that we can heal. Getting this out in the open so that we can be able to gain wisdom. At the end of the day, we are facing real life.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for all the wisdom that you have shared on the show today.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you, our Pastor Sheila. Love you.
Thank you.
We sure love her. We also love Pastor Faith Baba.
Oh, thank
Right.
you. Such an encouragement.
Absolutely
Mm.
encouraging. And I'm going to read this, Apostle, and I'm going to leave it with you as we take the news.
Mm.
And then when we come back, let's just comment. Here's for me how I'd like us to close the issue of the common denominator. Shall we counsel them, right, with regards to what sort of problem areas show up in the marriage that needs to be dealt with before you decide to move on, okay? And when is too soon?
Sure. When is too soon to move on?
Yeah.
I think the most important thing that you need to gauge is not necessarily time, but it is your healing process. Because you can say maybe I've been single for 20 years, I'm ready to go into the next relationship. And the reality is that in those 20 years, because time doesn't heal anything, right? Time doesn't heal anything. You have to subject yourself or submit yourself to a healing process. So for me, it's really not to do with time necessarily, but the work that you do in that time to ensure that you are healed. And when I say healed, I'm saying spiritually healed, emotionally healed, mind healed, right? You even bodily healed, because what if you decide that maybe I've waited out these 20 years, right? And these 20 years to you, you think I am healed, but you haven't done the work. And then the issues manifest, the sexual issues manifest, the financial issues manifest, how the communication issues manifest even in that space, right? So thank you so much. Got my okay. Yeah. So it's not, for me, it's not about time, it's the work that you do in the time. So I can't put a time frame and say how soon, etc. But also, you take into consideration things like how small are your kids, right? Because you have to consider them when you have a child now and you're going into the next relationship. Consider your children. Maybe your children are dealing with maybe your children are dealing with the fact that their father maybe has passed on, right? You have to consider those kind of things. So look at your unique situation and see the different pillars in your situation that you still need to deal with before moving on. Yeah.
My family, let me tell you, so much more coming from where that comes from. Let me tell you, on the other side of the news, if you are the one, we have to cross over and take the news. And of course, in this hour, we're also traveling. I'm really, really looking forward to that conversation as well. Just stay tuned because Black Artists will be joining us to help you revive that urge in you. To just go out there, spread your wings. Let's go South Africa. Let's go out of South Africa. Please, let's just travel, okay? Let's cross over to the news.
No problem.
I'm going to read the news now, and then we're going to come back. And the question that we're answering after the news is counsel for the common denominator. Okay. Well, our time 3 after 1, my family. I think we're adjusting in this program, and of course, we're looking forward to getting everything else back into alignment. But in the meantime, in your top stories, Kasachi says the struggle for a free Palestine is also a struggle for a new democratic economic model. Meanwhile, the Gauteng government takes over Sunroll's equals CCV network. And in your sporting news, the focus is on soccer, with the world's biggest soccer stadium to be erected in Morocco for World Cup 2030. That's what's coming up in our bulletin. Let's take it. Versace says the reproduction of the global energy economy based on the interests of imperialism and few monopolies keep Africa and the global south industrially dependent and underdeveloped. This comes as Colombia has suspended coal exports to Israel, with South African companies urged to do the same. Versace Zanele says the struggle for a free Palestine is at the same time a struggle for a new, just, and democratic economic model. Meanwhile, the Gauteng rather government has taken over the South African National Roads Agency (CCB) network on e-toll gantries to combat crime. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says the technology aids in tracking stolen cars and monitoring speed with law enforcement agents stationed at the command center. He says this integration has significantly enhanced crime fighting efforts across the province. And finally, this hour, South Africa's small diamond producers face severe challenges due to the global diamond crisis. According to the African Diamond Producers Organization, the industry is facing drastic price drops and increased competition from lab-grown diamonds. Speaking to Mining Weekly, President Panika has called for government support, including reduced royalties and value-added tax on diamonds to help local producers navigate the crisis. And in the market this past hour, the rand trades at 17 rand and 93 cents to the US dollar and 19 rand and 95 cents to the euro. One British pound costs 23 rand and 55 cents. The Bitcoin trades at $51,306.68, with gold selling at $2,500.40 per ounce. Brent crude oil closed at $78.01 a barrel. And that is how we end this bulletin with our time 6 after 1. Good afternoon and welcome to you, my family, who just joined us. We are in studio and in conversation this afternoon with Pastor Kandi Shilo Domingo, who is the founder of CWM Nation, and we're coming back with that conversation straight off.
Okay, and this pastor, no.
You could have posted this. Please. No, but
No, no.
let me speak from Austria because
No.
words are always words.
Mm.
7 after 1, that is your time, my family, on a Friday afternoon, the 23rd of August. We're going to be doing a lot of music. We're going to be doing a lot of play. Uh, we'll cover riddles today because it's just that kind of Friday, right? But in the meantime, let's conclude this